Welcome back to another installment of the Triton series. Thought I would cover off on the lighting and recovery aspects, I suppose, relative to what I've done so far. One of the most common things that get asked on the group that I'm part of a couple of Triton groups on social media. I think what's actually happening now is that there's a huge influx of all the cars that are coming through that have been held up because of COVID. So everyone's getting cracking on the modifications, which is really good. It's nice to see people getting their cars after waiting so long. Very, very lucky that I was able to get a car within like a week. So super grateful that was my situation, but there was people that were waiting, close to a year. Cars getting stuck at ports and building up surface rust and welds from sitting at ports for so long. Now that a lot of people are kind of starting to build their cars up, a lot of the questions that are being asked is, what should I do about a bull bar and whatnot? And there's obviously a lot of opinions and people's experiences with them, so I thought I'd share mine. Naturally, because I was doing most of my work with Ironman, their headquarters in Melbourne is literally like 40 metres from this door. They're really not far away, so they, by every means, were always going to be the most logical choice. I did price up through TJM and ARB for the likes of what I was getting relative to the setup, and price points and everything, and having the support of having them across the road it was only logical for me to go in the way of an Ironman front bar. When I initially had got the car, I was thinking I was going to do a no loop type of bar because I kind of liked the way that they looked, and then I thought, well, it kind of actually defeats the purpose of the bull bar having no loops. I mean, there's already marks on the bull bar here and there, everywhere and whatnot, and we haven't done a great deal of it. It's very hard for you to see that. There's already marks and bits and bumps on the front of the car already. Had that bar not have been there, that would have been a smashed headlight. I decided to go with Ironman's commercial deluxe front bar. The way things are with modern cars, they all have to meet, ADR standard, airbag compliant, and this, that, and the other. So a lot of the bull bars now actually have to be built to quite a high standard. Going with something that I was going to have out the front of my car as a first point of protection was pretty important for me to have something that was certified to be used under ADR. There's a number of bars that are on the market at the moment that either haven't got an ADR or have other compliance and safety stuff that, in some opinions might exceed ADR, but I do feel like ADR is quite a stringent design regulation rule set, so I have quite a bit of confidence in ADR. Some ADRs are ridiculous and stupid, but, overzealous is probably not a bad thing when it comes to safety and design regulation. So it was important for me to get something that was already certified, not pending to be certified. I went with the commercial deluxe 3-loop bull bar front of mine. I wanted to color code it. I still kind of feel like I would have been happy if I did color code it. Quite a lot of adverse opinions relative to color coding, and in hindsight, it's probably not too bad to have a color coded front bar if you don't expect to use the bar quite as aggressively as maybe I'll be using it in the future and already have. Going the satin black is probably the best and most logical option, to be honest. So didn't color code it, and I'm happy with the way it looks. So it's quite an aggressive bar. I like that Ironman kind of have done a little bit in the way of following the design cues of the front of the car, so that sort of part of the loop does follow the grille mark and whatnot. It does kind of complement the design, true grille and the design language, or the dynamic shield design language that Mitsubishi have gone with this car. So it looks really good. I like it. I'm really, really happy with it. I think it looks mega. It suits the car. Not only a couple of, I kind of decked it out the best that I could. So obviously they're compliant with the parking sensors, which is awesome. I did opt to put their 9,500 pound winch with the synthetic rope. Use their alloy fairlead for the synthetic rope. Got one of their little hook tags that go on the end of the winch hook, so you can kind of pick it up and recover it when it's in a muddy or gross situation. Fortunately for me, it actually hasn't been used for recovering this car, but it actually has been used quite a bit relative to pulling things out of the way. So old dead trees and stuff like that. We've got quite a few trees coming down this time of year, and we've had quite a bit of wild weather as well. So it's about 9 million degrees in here at the moment. Over the course of the last couple of days, there's been quite a bit of rain and quite a bit of wind. So we're getting some wild weather this time of year. Save the planet, save the trees, whatever. Anyway, getting back to the front bar itself, I decided to upgrade to the LED, the LED driving lights instead of the standard halogen ones. They are quite bright. The GLS trim that I've got with this particular car has the LED headlights, so it only made sense for the fog lights to be LED as well. Outside of that, on the bottom of the, well, it's not actually on the bar, but relative to the bar, I do also have 4,500 kilo recovery points on the front there, just down here on the bottom. So I've got two of those both on either side. Being that nice red, they just look purpose built. They look really, really cool. I like them. With an equalizer strap and whatnot, you'd be pretty set having those in to get you out of any sort of sticky recovery situation. The bar itself obviously has high lift jacking points and whatnot inbuilt to it. Like I mentioned before, the LED fog lights, LED indicators as well with the LED parkers. Relative to driving lights, I scoured kind of all of the lighting options. I went with the King's 9-inch lethal driving lights, I think they're called. They're really good throw, really good penetration. I'm not entirely sure what the stats are, but yeah, perform really well. Like, I don't think you need any more light than, but you can never stop with just one set of lights. So I went with a 42-inch LED floodlight bar on the top. So the combo of the spot / driving lights on the front give you that nice depth of penetration, and then obviously the light bar gives you that flood. I've been in some really low light situations and stuff, and yeah, the lighting is huge. Episodes, I said 2.6, but I meant 2.1 decibel GME antenna. This thing's been slapped around quite a bit on a few journeys on corrugations and stuff. Has worked absolutely flawlessly. Looks really good. I'm really happy with this. Performs really well. I did want to go sort of the thicker stem bases and whatnot, but justifying the price for something that this adequately does, wasn't really worth it. Like I mentioned before, 9,500 pound winch. I also have the wireless controller for that winch as well, which is mega. Once that controller's charged up, it's got a little flashlight on it and everything as well, all into the one handpiece, which makes it super useful. I've got the recovery track. I believe they're the Tread brand. I'm yet to make up a mount for them. That's on the cards as well. They're kind of just sitting there with a green Oki strap, which is holding them in place, which kind of puts us onto the recovery. That's kind of all of the recovery gear, like the recovery points up at the front, the winch, the hijack points and all the rest of it. So in the back is where I keep my recovery gear. So I've got the standard kit, pretty much all of them, less the tree trunk protector at the moment. All my straps have been unused. All the gear, no idea, right? Which dampening bag actually doubles up as a storage bag for all of this stuff as well. I just have it separated at the moment because it's kind of easy just to kind of pull stuff out. Obviously all of my extension straps, equalizer straps and everything are in here. Show you this thing, it hasn't even been touched yet. Got some shackles and whatnot relative to my recovery gear, so pretty much everything that I feel that I would need at this stage to do my own recovery or to help anybody out. I do have a snatch strap as well, which I've had for a number of years, which is kind of like something that I keep with me because it's done so much work already. So I've got that, and that's it. This isn't relative, but always keep coffee in the back. Coffee. This never leaves the car. Got my jump starter here. This is just a super cheap auto unit. Really good. Had it for a while now. I think I've charged it twice in the 6-7 months I've had it. So really good performing jump starter. But just in case you never know what the situation will be, I do obviously have the dual battery, but that isn't relative to my starting battery outside of obviously just being in circuit. All my recovery gear is in the back where it is kept. This stage as well on the far side, bits and bobs here as well. So I'm yet to get a chainsaw, which I will get at some stage. So I kept my small hatchet out the back here. Things, I think it's, I'm not entirely sure on the stats, but it's the Thunder Max, which is their highest output compressor. Did that. I don't have a tank for it at the moment, but at some stage I'm thinking to put a little reserve tank in there. It is invaluable to have a compressor in the back, just to have one on hand when you need it. It's really good. It's mega helpful when you're airing up and airing down, so you're not spending too much time on low pressure. When you do air down for sand or trickier sort of stuff, and you're still 45 to an hour away from a servo, you don't want to be cruising around in really low pressure. It's not good for the economy and all the rest of it, so really good to have that compressor out back. So I mean, it is kind of relative to recovery, but so there it is out the back, and obviously the air line for that sits all the way at the absolute back as well. This stuff is a little bit of a mess, admittedly. I understand. It is yet to be compartmentalized properly. There's some things that come in and out of here quite frequently, so like I've said in previous videos, it's not entirely done. There is some small things that need to be sort of rejigged and whatnot. Outside of that, in future relative to recovery and or bar work, I am pretty soon looking at getting a rear bar. The Ironman one, again, just by chance happens to be the one that is most suitable relative to my application. It does also have the toe point in there as well. I've already got the electric brakes, which is super handy. It does bring that toe ball, I think it does bring the toe ball up a little bit as well, which brings it a little bit closer to the bottom of the bar. Look, notoriously the Tritons do have a pretty bad departure angle, and it's not helped by having the toe bar so low as well. I have trailered quite a bit. I have moved quite a bit of stuff around. Just yesterday I was moving about 3.5 ton worth of hay bales. Not a fan of towing. I hate trailers. They're vindictive and they have a mind of their own, said Jeremy Clarkson. Don't like trailers, but it's good to have it there, and the electric brakes is like next level. It's really good to have that sort of control over the brake function of the trailer as well. So electric brakes on an electric trailer make it somewhat tolerable. And potentially one of the recovery shackle points where the toe ball is, so I don't have to have the toe ball in full time. I can just have that thing. It does find itself catching on big undulations on tracks. I do hit the toe ball on the way out. So hopefully in the future, there'll be a rear bar and that toe ball comes a little bit higher and it'll be much better. But at this stage, obviously bar work, like I mentioned, is what we've got at the moment. I will be looking at doing some rock sliders in the near future, just because I want to be certain that I don't smash away my sills in that situation. But outside of that, that's pretty much everything for the lighting and recovery at this stage. There will be an evolution with this as things progress. You tend to find that the more you need in situations. I've tried to equip myself with the stuff that I would need when the need arises, but you never know until you're in that situation. Oh, I could really use this, I could really use that, but who knows. Well, either way, thank you very much. A very, very sweaty thank you. Sorry about my appearance at the moment, but it is the surface of Mars in here at the moment. So thank you very much for joining me on this installment relative to the Triton. Some more coming out in the near future, but thanks again for watching the video. As always, if you can, like, share and subscribe, the whole deal. Subscribing really helps our channels grow. Comment below anything that you want to know. If you're not a commenter, become a commenter. Say something, you don't like it, my head's sweaty or something, whatever. Comment something, it helps the channels grow and we really appreciate it. But so far, thanks for tuning in and I appreciate you guys watching the videos. Thank you, bye.